Today we talk to Justin Graphics, a 16-year-old NFT artist with multiple Behance awards and over $200,000 in crypto art sales on Super Rare. We'll talk about his iconic style, personal inspiration, and advice for young upcoming artists. Today we are interviewing Justin. He's a 16-year-old artist who has multiple Behance awards, which is awesome, and has over $200,000 in crypto art sales on Super Rare. How are you doing, Justin?
I am doing good, my friend.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, I would say a crazy week, but I know for you it's been a crazy year. So I have a lot of questions for you regarding that. The first thing that I always ask everyone on these interviews is, when did you start? Where did you start, and why did you start?
Yeah, when I started just art and stuff in general, I think that was like June of last year. But before that, it goes way back to like 2015, the Call of Duty scene. I was doing YouTube thumbnails and Twitter headers and banners for the Call of Duty squad.
Yeah.
And that's where I started too. So
and what kind of drew you into like the gaming scene? Like, when did you start making thumbnails? Kind of what triggered that for you?
I had my good old PS3 on the giant TV, and I was a trick shotter. I was posting my clips and everything on Twitter, and then I was like, hey, I should try out this design stuff, because I was already taking photos, I was doing photography and stuff, so I'm like, hey, I have Photoshop, I have all the stuff I need. And so I tried doing thumbnails, and I tried getting into the design scene a little bit in the Call of Duty community. I also started editing too. I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of got, I was like, ooh, this design stuff's fun. So I was doing that more than I was doing other stuff, and I kind of just dropped editing a little bit. I was still doing it on the side for a little bit. And then I stopped doing trick shotting and everything after like Black Ops 3.
That's really interesting, because I think at this point you're the second or third person I've interviewed who has started like actually gaming, so trick shotting, sniping, or like playing professionally, and then something about the creative community or like design, like you said, editing. I know that's how I started too. Like, something just draws you towards that, where it's more fun than playing the game itself. So it almost seems like for a lot of people, you start in gaming, and then at some point there's like a divide where you start branching out into like, hey, this design stuff is really cool. I wanted to ask you who your inspirations were and who you got inspiration from, not only back then, but also who they are now, if they've changed.
Yeah, so I think back then, like when I had just started design and everything, Mixo for sure, because he was big. He was, I think at the time he was in SOAR, or before that, I think, actually, I don't know. Yeah, Mixo, Jesper, Impact, and then like a few other guys that I can't think of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so have any of those inspirations changed? Like, have you met any like new inspirations ever since you got into, I guess, more specifically with NFTs, or is that kind of where it started from, was people like Mixo, Impact?
Yeah, it started with them, but like I have more. I've met more people, and I know more people. Like, if I went back then, I wouldn't have known like any of these people in the NFT community right now. Alex Ness Graphics, he's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
He's helped me a lot with everything. He helped me set up and everything. And then my shout out to my my 3D chat on Twitter that is full right now. All of them are super supportive, and I got like, I mean, a ton of people in there, and it's really fun being in there.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that chat, so that's really cool that you have this kind of community that's built around 3D artwork. And I guess moving into the next question, so I know, like you said, a lot of those people you had met through NFTs. I wanted to ask you, how did you discover this industry, and how was the experience of being a part of it when you first joined?
So I first got into it back when Etienne Kraus, I think I don't know how to say his name exactly, but he was posting about it. He was helping me out. He told me how to get in and everything. And then I think that at the time, I think a month later or something, Loopify started doing NFTs and was posting about them all the time. And then I DM'd him, and then got into it from there. He helped me with my like first pieces on Rareable and everything. and help me set up everything on there.
Yeah, I think those are the same two people for me as well. Like Etienne and Loop, they
Yep.
really brought a lot of us in and kind of, I mean, both of them are super kind and welcoming when it comes to like bringing people into the space. Like for me as well, I could always ask them questions like, what do you think about this? Like, how does this work? And it seems like they've done that for a lot of people. So that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, what got me in the most was, I mean, Etienne, who used to do Call of Duty. I mean, he was a Call of Duty designer.
Mhm.
I'm like, this is crazy how he's like completely gone into actually art mode, and now he's freaking. I mean, he's doing really well. So I was like, oh, I should try that.
Yeah, I mean, he's crushing it now, but so are you. So I guess
Yeah.
moving into the next question then, how are things different now compared to when you first entered that space? And do you think the NFT industry is maybe heading in the right direction, or what are you looking forward to seeing in the future?
It's definitely different from when I started and when I entered the space. And I think it is heading in the right direction. We have a lot of bigger like celebrities, I guess I could say, influencers that are coming in. Although some of them I definitely, because some of them I feel like they're coming in for a money grab, but some of them are actually like coming in and staying and teaching it too. And now it's getting bigger, and that's definitely what I'd like to see in the future as well, to get it mainstream, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, are there any celebrities or like big names out there that stand out to you for like educating and helping people? Like maybe for people...
right now, Paris Hilton for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she is doing a lot for the NFT community right now. So
yeah, it's really really cool seeing this like bridge between, you know, people like content getting started, people who are kind of just starting to make their career, and then these celebrities are like offering a hand to help them out. I mean, that whole watching that happen feels really really cool, like really unusual too. I've never seen any type of engagement like that with even like esports. Like you don't really see that happening a lot. It's normally big creators talking to big creators and small creators with small creators, right?
And I think it's kind of cool how they're doing clubhouse rooms and everything, talking about NFTs. Like they're actually like, it's kind of like teaching class. I mean, you kind of just join the clubhouse room and you learn a ton from them because they're talking about it. So that, I mean, that's awesome. Like if at the beginning when I started this, I never would have thought that I would have made it this far, and you know, I would have been able to talk to Paris Hilton or MC Hammer or Diplo, Dylan Francis, any of those giant names.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
yeah, and I think so. Obviously these things are happening to you now, and like you said, it was kind of unexpected for this to happen maybe as fast as it did. So when you were going along this journey, moving into the next question, were there any mistakes that you made yourself, and maybe what are some mistakes you see other NFT artists making earlier on in their career?
Yeah, so this one's a good question. I think I did make mistakes, but like I think it was good that I did, because I had people come to me and I'm like, hey, you know, and tell me that I made that mistake, and I'm like, okay, I learned from it, and now I don't do it anymore. And then I think a lot of newer artists in the crypto scene are, I guess the term, shilling or linking their crypto art and everything underneath like every single tweet that like a collector or I mean even me, I get people linking their art on just my normal tweets, and I'm just like that's definitely a big down, like that shouldn't do that at all. And also I think another one is making the art for the purpose of selling as crypto art instead of making it for art in general, and then hey, oh, you know, I should sell it. So yeah, those are the two big ones that I think people need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially the first one with people promoting their work. Like promoting your work is necessary. You need to do it in some way, but there's, I would say, good ways to promote your work and bad ways. I mean, when you think of crypto art and NFTs, like what makes them different is that they're essentially like collectible art. So when you think of any other collectibles, like let's say shoes are probably the most popular, like shoes you would find on StockX or something, you don't see Nike replying to everyone's tweets promoting like, hey, you should buy this new shoe that we're coming out with, you know, because that kind of destroys that collectability of it when they're actively trying to sell it to people and making them want it rather than letting people come to them. Like, if to find some exclusive like sneaker releases, you got to be like involved. Like, you have to be looking for like articles and like newsletters, be looking on like whoever they're collaborating with, their Twitter, and like you have to hunt for that information rather than them just saying like, you know, here it is, like here's the shoes, everyone buy them like right now. It feels a little more exclusive that way, right? So I see that too as like a big thing.
And I also see a lot of the newer artists trying to like, you know, get collectors to notice them. And I mean, linking your artwork underneath a tweet is okay in a sense that you're not linking like the actual for them to buy it. And I mean, if you want them to buy it, don't link the actual like link to it. Just show the artwork, and if they like it, they'll contact you. But like only under like tweets that they're like, hey, link your art under this tweet. But like, if it's just their normal tweet, don't do that, because that's not something people like. That's
super weird for me when I see people just talking about like their daily life, and then someone replies like, hey, I just made this NFT, come check it out, you know, when they're completely unrelated and they're not obligated to look at that. It's just not very smart marketing. So you guys have to like understand how to make demand and how to make things desirable, and doing stuff like that is generally just kind of like a bad look, you know? Like if I see someone releasing NFTs and they post it on like all of my friends' tweets, generally I associate it with like they don't really care about being involved in the community as much. Like they're just trying to get the word out there, you know, no matter what the conversation is at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then one other thing is probably the I see this a lot, but some people actually seem to think that a collector is like a bank for them, and they're like just spamming their work under there, and they're trying to get they're like trying to force it too much. And it's something that shouldn't be forced, and you should try to have a connection with the collector. So multiple of my collectors, I've actually had calls, I've talked to them, and they've invested in me because they've got to know me and stuff like that.
I guess moving into this next question, because that's all really great advice, and to me, I'm amazed at the fact that you're 16 years old and you're able to have these decisions. I'm sure you hear this a lot, but obviously when I was your age, I wasn't even considering design as a career yet. Like, it was just only for fun, for a hobby, and nothing else. So moving into this question, you've seen a lot of success early on with not only sales but recognition on Behance, which is huge. So do you have any advice for maybe young upcoming artists when it comes to improving their craft, or even just getting recognition early on?
I'd say try to master your the software that you're using before you start trying to I see a lot of this. People try to make stuff that is like better than where they are. Not like saying it's bad or anything, but I don't know how to say it. They skip the basics, I guess.
Yeah, like say. They rush into things because they want it to look a certain way, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a big one. And probably make art that you have you feel like you have a connection to, because I'm almost all of my actual artwork, not like Call of Duty designs and design stuff like that, but my artwork I actually made because of how I was feeling at that time, or what I had dreamed or something, I guess.
Yeah, so that's two really big things. The first one especially, almost just taking it slow. So there's not a huge rush when it comes to learning design and learning your craft, because maybe it's overwhelming that there's so much you can do and so much to learn, and that's what makes people feel like they have to rush, because it's oh, there's so much I need to learn, there's so many different things I need to do, so they skip those fundamentals like you said. So yeah. I agree. I think that's super important, is just being able to take a step back, focus on the basics. It's stressful, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit too, but I can feel this from a lot of new NFT artists specifically, but maybe it's stressful on social media when you see how fast everything's moving and you see all these people just having success everywhere, making huge sales, and it's like you're just trying to get started and you just feel like, well, I need to catch up. I don't have time to learn the basics, you know? I feel like that's like a huge thing, right?
That also brings back to the other question about mistakes in the community. I mean, I also see people try not to. They're making art that is selling right now. That's for high prices. They're trying to, you know, not copy, but I guess copy that art style, I guess, and just, you know, hammer it down, like post multiple, and then spam it out there trying to get the sales. And that's just not going to work because your art style is completely different, but you're trying to get sales, so you're making a new, different, like, I mean, you're doing stuff that isn't for you, I guess. Was this like the same thing as 11 said, I think, in her stream? Be you.
Yeah, exactly. That's so huge, because I guess you're right in saying, like, in the industry that happens all the time where a new designer or new artist will try to replicate the style of another artist because they see it selling. But the issue with that is, one, that artist most of the time is more experienced, so the work is going to look better, and then they also have their brand built around that specific look. So like, it's going to be very hard for you to compete. It's like you opening up your own shop right next to a Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like right next door to them. It's because you see, oh, Walmart's getting a bunch of sales, you know, they sell stuff every single day. I'm going to set up my own store. It'll be like mini Walmart right here, right next door to it, and people can buy stuff from me. And it's like, it's going to be really, really tough to compete with that big corporation when they're already well established. They know what they're doing. Be your own Walmart, you know? This is not sponsored, so shout out Walmart though. But I guess actually that goes into the next question really well. So your style specifically has become really iconic in this crypto art community and scene, specifically through, I think your Dunescape series is the most popular. So when did you decide to focus specifically on this look or this style, and kind of what's the inspiration behind that process?
Okay, so I mean, this one's kind of difficult because my first Dunescape series, like the first Dunescape series that I actually did, was 4 pieces, all very, very, very like, I mean, simple, because I didn't know the software very well yet. I was learning it, so this is like a test kind of series that I did, but that I enjoyed very much though. And like, I mean, it's literally just simple like gradients, you know. I mean, 11 gradient queen. I just use gradients and everything for the atmosphere, and I mean, you can tell if you look through my Dunescape series on my Behance from the first to the third one, you can tell like I've improved a ton.
Absolutely.
Just based on that. I decided to focus on that because I mean, just not because I was doing well, but also because I was having fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the top things. You want to have fun while you're doing it too. My inspiration behind it, I don't know at all why, what inspired me to do it, but it was mainly just, I mean, I've never been to dunes, like sand dunes in real life or anything. So I wanted to create something that, you know, it's brand new to me. Mainly for the Dunescapes, 6 and 5. They are a, like, I think it's a collaborative group of artists who do they do landscape and they do interior, exterior, they do a ton of stuff, but they were my main inspiration on some of their, like, they did the Microsoft Surface wallpapers, I think.
Oh, okay.
And those hit me, so I was like, oh, you know, those inspired me a lot. So although I don't think they were dunes, but I wanted to make it my own thing, so
which is even better. So I mean, because that's what we were just talking about. And the cool thing that I noticed, going back to what you had said about being able to improve over time, is something that I really appreciate from an artist perspective. And what makes things collectible is not necessarily like the skill alone, but more of the journey. So like seeing your first Dunescapes and seeing where they're at now in itself tells a story of the artist being where you were and where you are now. those earlier pieces are still going to be just as collectible because they tell that story of like, this is when Justin first did this series, this is when he was first exploring this process. So I think in that sense, it's really important to do exactly what we were saying with artists coming up with their own style, being unique. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect at first, but you'll learn it over time, you'll get comfortable with it, and eventually you're going to create work that is like super, super iconic, right? I mean, that's huge. And if we can talk a little bit more about your Dunescape series specifically. So I think a lot of people are curious about this as well, but let's talk money for a second. So for your series, just the Dunescapes alone has seen over 6 figures in sales on Super Rare. So how is the experience of having NFTs bring in money like that, especially at your age? And have NFTs maybe led you to pursuing art more as a career?
Okay, yeah, the money's good. Like, it's great, but it's not about the money for me. It's kind of the journey that the process I'm doing for this whole thing. I mean, obviously, I just bought a brand new PC that I never thought I would ever be able to afford in my life.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a monster, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That means a lot more work coming out for me. It's definitely changed my point of view on pursuing art as a career. So
yeah, and hopefully you're, I guess, for lack of a better term, just being smart with that money. I know if I was 16 and I was making 6 figures, I would be really dumb with what I'd spend it on. So hopefully you're pushing that in the right direction.
Yeah, the good thing is I have a lot of friends that are helping me out, and my dad as well. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's moving into the next question as well. I wanted to ask how your friends and family feel about this recent success that you've seen.
Yeah, so my friends, like, in real life, actually I don't really talk about that to my friends in real life, except for like 2 or 3 tops. But people online that are my friends, I talk to on the daily, they're like, hey, I mean, love to see you succeed and everything. And I try to help out with everybody as well. At least my parents are supportive of this too, so that's good. I've heard that many people, their parents aren't so supportive of this, so I'm really appreciative of that. So
yeah, seriously, I mean, that's a big deal, is getting your family's approval, especially like when you're younger, because that's what pushed me mostly. Is like, my parents, they didn't really understand it, but they knew that I enjoyed it. And I think what pushed them over to like fully supporting me was when I showed them like, oh, this can be a career. Like, I'm starting to make money off this. Like, I'm going to school for it, all this stuff. And then at that point, they were like, okay, this digital whatever is kind of cool, I guess, you know? But
yeah, it was pretty funny because the first time, my first sale on Rarible for 0.1, I think, or I don't know, I think it was 0.1 or 0.15 or something like that. Back in September or something, it was back when Ethereum was at like 500, 600. So, or maybe I don't even know, something like that. So 0.1 was like 100, $200.
yeah,
I'm like, dang, dude, let's go.
yeah,
I was getting hyped. I'm like, dang, I didn't know my work was worth this much. And I was telling my dad all about it. I was telling my family, like, hey, this is great. I can't see where this goes. I mean, I think I sold another one for 0.15 or something like that. And then I sold like some of them were multiple editions. So I had like 10, 15, 5, and like 3, 2, and just multiple ones. And then those started going off. And then I moved away from Rarible, and I think I went on, I applied to Super Rare, I think, 3 times before I actually got in, and then I think I applied to Maker's Place twice, and then before I got in.
Hey, and that's good to know. I didn't know that it took that many applications. I had just assumed you had gotten in on the first try.
No, it's it's really hard. If you keep on it, like, I mean, interaction. I tell everybody this. Interaction is key. If you interact a ton with, like, not like so much that you're kind of like invading their space, you know, but you interact with them a little bit, like every once in a while, just, you know, they'll see you. And so I applied 3 times to super rare. I didn't get in every time, or I didn't get in any of the
Mhm.
times. I actually got a DM from one of the people that are actually at super rare, and they got me on.
That's really
So
cool. What the
yeah,
heck? What a cool story, because I know that's like a struggle for a lot of people too, is super rare applying. It almost feels like when you get denied the first time, it's like, oh, they don't want me. And it's really easy to just give up and be like, okay, well, if they don't want me now, I doubt they're going to want me in the future, you know? So I think that's really cool to see that you're persistent, and then obviously it ended up paying off like drastically, right?
yeah.
So, I guess speaking about super rare, your most recent piece that you put on was a collaboration with BT. So,
Yep.
if you guys don't know, BT, Grammy nominated musician and film composer, and you've also collaborated with a lot of artists in the past. So, what is your experience with that collaboration in particular? Maybe how it started and just what your thoughts are on it? And do you think that collaborations are maybe something people should consider doing more in the community?
Yeah, so that collaboration is definitely one of my favorites. The story behind it is pretty funny. I was just posting my Dunescapes like normal, and then I got a DM from I got a DM from BT, and he wanted to he just messaged me out of the blue saying, "Hey, you're I think it was the same one that he did the music for on the one that's on Super right now, the recent one that I tweeted out. I was just posting the animation for it, and there was no sound to it or anything." And he DM'd me saying, "Hey, I could score this for you." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds like a plan." And I also sent him a bunch of other the Dunescape 3 series ones to him. Like, "Hey, if you want to do one of these too," and he's like, "Or if you want to do one of these instead," because I kind of wanted this first one to be just my drop, but I changed my mind because he messaged me back saying, "Yeah, I'm already done with it." I'm like, I'm like, "Okay." And then he sent it to me. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've heard in my life. And so yeah, I went with that. I'm definitely really grateful that he wanted to collaborate with me. And also, my dad is like a huge fan of BT.
Oh, that's cool.
So when BT messaged me, I went up to my dad and he followed me too. I'm like, I went up to my dad and he started freaking out like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, my dad's a huge fan, and then he's like, that's awesome. And then he gave my dad a follow on Twitter as well. So my
Whoa,
dad started freaking out after that.
that's
And
really cool.
now I have like a giant now I have an actual like connection with BT too. So now I mean we plan on working stuff in the future as well.
Mhm.
And so yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. So, not only with that collaboration, but like I've seen you do a few with like other people. So, I just wanted to also ask you like how you feel about collaborations in general. Like, should people do it more often? How should people approach it? Things like that.
Yeah, I have collaborated with a lot of people. Some of them are unreleased. I haven't even there's so many that I haven't posted at all
I know
yet.
there's at least one that's unreleased.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's a few more that are unreleased as well, and then
Hmm.
some more that I'm planning on doing down the line in the future. But I think there's something that that needs to be like done more, right? Like on I had an idea for super rare, which a lot of people have actually told the super rare people about, and a collaboration tab on super rare, right? Or
Hmm.
other sites as well, where you can actually like if you click on the piece it has both of the people's, you know, thing there. It says it's under a collaboration, and then when it sells, it actually splits it immediately. It splits it already for you, and I think that would help out, and that would make more people want to do collaborations, which are crucial. Like I mean, I think they're really special. So
Hmm. Yeah, and they're super fun to do. If I could
yeah,
collaborate with every artist I know, and I hopefully will. I want to like do more stuff like that. It's just really exciting for artists because you get to see like these two minds collide, right? With like these
yeah,
different styles or like whatever they specialize in. So I'm glad that you feel that way, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of those collaborations. We're kind of coming up towards the end. I have a few more questions just talking about your past and present. So, going back to the past a little bit, if you could go back to the start of your NFT career, what would you do differently?
I don't think I would do anything differently. I
Really?
don't. I think that was I mean, I think if you start anyway, I mean, it's a learning lesson the
Mhm.
entire way up. So I don't think I would change anything at all. I
Hey,
think it was fine.
I love that. I love that answer. It's like all part of the process, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
You make mistakes, but you learn from them, and that's how you end up where you are. So, hey, short answer, but I'll accept it. That's really cool to hear that you have basically no regrets with how far you've come, right? Just to think about the future. So, what are your short and long-term plans moving forward?
This I haven't really thought about much, but short term is probably trying to get a nifty drop, like an
Mhm.
actual solo nifty drop. So because I've had multiple people ask me for open editions and stuff like that. Like I want to do that. I want to have everybody have my art. So yeah, that would be ideal if I can get that soon. And long term, probably getting my art in a gallery or a
Ooh,
museum. That would be kind of sick.
yeah, that's a great long-term goal. I would love to
Yeah.
see a wall of dunescapes in an
And
art
then
museum or
yeah,
something, right?
and then another one is probably getting it to AR VR, so
Mm.
you actually can be inside of a dreamscape,
Whoa, that would be really cool. All
which
right,
I
let,
may or may not have plans to do that in the future sometime.
let's
So
go. Hey, that's the type of stuff that I really love is anything innovative, especially in NFTs. I love that stuff. Like I will support that every single day. Like stuff like for example with Artifact, what he's doing with all his collaborations, things like that. That just gets me going. I'm excited to hear that from you that you have those types of plans. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. This is the last thing I have to ask you, and it's just do you have anyone or anything you would like to shout out before we wrap up and then do some Q&A?
I don't really have anything, but I'd like to shout out Lupify, Etienne, and 11, and then you, of course, because
Hey,
you're a
come
beast.
on, let's go. I appreciate
Ah,
it.
yeah, and then my 3D chat that's on Twitter. All you guys are beasts, and then my Discord community, NFTR community. I'd like to try to link this if I can, right?
Yes, please go
Uh,
ahead, link it. For anyone watching on YouTube, I'll make sure to put this in the description so you can join it as well from there. But that's what I have for you today, Justin. So now for YouTube, we're going to be moving into a Q&A with viewers. This part is going to be cut off from this video, but if you want to catch one of these streams, I'm live every Saturday, now with the new time starting at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.